be some blackouts that were going to transpire in the United States as well as the nations. And it wasn't just blackouts like of lights, but it was blackouts of electronic things,
Wow.
a cell phone, all that different things were going to suddenly just stop working. There was going to be a breakdown in that area.
The breakdown of things like cell phones, because I didn't remember that one. But tell me about that one, or expound on that a little bit. Are you saying that is yet to come and will come, or if we pray it won't have to come? And how do you look at a word like that? Are you calling people to stop it, or just to be prepared when it happens?
I believe that first of all, we need to be prepared.
Okay.
I think that we can pray, but we also need to be prepared. I didn't see anything where the Lord said, decree and declare that this will not come to pass. But the Lord said, release the word and let people know that there is going to be a communication breakdown. It's all really, Steve, you have to look at this. It's all natural signs of spiritual situations. So the blackouts, that is spiritually, that's the darkness trying to invade. The communication breakdown, where the enemy is literally trying to close our mouths, whether it's through wearing masks or even this like cell phone data communication breaking down.
A lot of Americans are feeling it right now. If you've had some trouble using your cell phone this morning, it's not just you. You're not alone.
Yeah, major carriers have been experiencing widespread outages all across the country, though AT&T is the most affected overnight.
So that was 4 years before, and this election hadn't even been stolen yet when you first were giving that, and a lot of this, I think, a lot of this outages is going to be caused intentionally by the deep state to create havoc to try and thwart another election. But what are your thoughts about that?
I agree with you a lot, Steve. I think one of the things that we need to convey to the audience is not that we're trying to bring fear to people,
right,
or try to get them into any kind of a scare, but just to be prepared, to know where we are at, so that when these things do happen, they realize where we're at, that God is on our side, that no matter what the enemy is trying to do, he cannot stop what is coming, that God is bringing a divine reversal, that God is bringing America back. And no matter how much they want to continue to try to place misinformation, disinformation to us and try to shut down the communication, God is in control, and we're going to see the victory in the end.
And I'm going to point out the obvious here about what you just said and what you didn't say. You didn't say this communication darkness begins and now all heck's breaking loose to the degree that, these are the very last days and it's begun, folks. That's not what I'm hearing you say. You're saying it's a divine reversal. You want to elaborate on that a little more?
Absolutely. I believe that God is turning America around. I believe that he is not finished with America. I've stated over and over again that we're going to see a third great awakening.
Yeah.
I believe we are in the midst of that awakening. This is the best of times, the worst of times. We're seeing the darkness uncovered. We are seeing demonic entities that have been undercover being exposed. And so I see it as the more the light comes, the more that darkness begins to be exposed. And as those demonic entities are exposed, they're going to be driven out. It's the same way that I look at deliverance, in the sense of when you're casting out a demon, the demon is going to make the loudest, screaming and fuss as it's coming out. But the fact of the matter is that it's coming out. And we're seeing this in America right now. This is why there's going to be an influx and an acceleration of demonic activity, especially this year. But the viewer should understand that the reason that we are seeing such gross darkness is because it's going to be driven out from our nation, and God is turning the tide right now. And we need to stay hopeful. We need to stay in a posture of prayer, and just know that God is on our side. And I believe the Lord is going to give us the victory. God has given us the victory, and we don't have to fear the future. We know that God is on our side because there's a remnant in America. And Steve, I'll tell you, I believe the reason that we have not been taken, that our country has not been invaded, that we haven't experienced where just full darkness taking this nation, is because of the remnant, because of those that have stood, those that have refused to bow their knee to the system of Baal, and we continue to stand. And it's like the Bible tells us when God spoke to Elijah, I have 5,000 that you don't even know about. Yeah. And I believe across this country, there are many people that don't have huge platforms, that aren't speaking out the way that we're able to speak out. But they are praying, they're believing, they're fasting, and God is speaking to them, and they are hearing the voice of the Lord. And so the things that we bring here on Elijah Streams is confirmation for what they're hearing as they're praying, and they know that the voice of the prophets is not going to be silent, and we are praying and believing for a turnaround in this country. So we're at the divine reversal. We are at the time, and the Lord had given me a word in December of last year on the 8th about the divine reversal coming in this year. And he began to speak to me out of Esther 9, where it speaks of Haman's decree. And it says the enemies of the Jews hoped for to have power over them, but it was turned to the contrary, and the Jews had ruled over them and hated them. But the Bible says this word turned here is very significant for the time that we're living in right now, Steve.
Yeah.
Because it means overturn, it means overthrow, it means transform, it means reversal. And this is a divine reversal. Yeah. This is the time that we're living in. And I also heard the Lord say it's a time of the boomerang.
Oh, wow.
That like a boomerang that's thrown out,
yeah,
it returns to the one that throws it. God is going to cause every curse and assignment from hell to be turned back upon our spiritual enemies. So there has been this boomerang that's gone out, but it's going to come back upon our enemies, and God is going to cause all the curses, all the things that have been released upon this country, they're going to spring back upon our enemies. And I believe that the Lord is going to cause a great victory in this season. We've been standing, we've been believing. We know that God has a favor upon the remnant.
Yeah.
And then, the Lord had told me that he's bringing the remnant, this was years ago, into a place of his glory and his presence in the midst of Egypt, where we would be like in a land of Goshen, that in the midst of all the things, all the plagues, all the things that are happening around the nation, God would protect his people. And we've seen that.
And that's very interesting that you saw, because someone else I saw one of the prophets, or I think Cindy Jacobs, is on a trek right now today, and she said, we're going to Goshen today. It was either last night or today. They're heading there for a stop, and I thought, God is revisiting Goshen, he's pointing that out, and then you just brought that up. So I don't think that's a coincidence, but God's pointing out that, Goshen was the place Joseph brings his family there, and they're protected for 400 years in Goshen, and it's their time of prosperity. Somewhere along the line, then Pharaoh rose up who didn't know Joseph and turned against them, but that was their place of protection. Some never left there. It was such a place of protection. But anyway, interesting that you would say that.
And I wanted to kind of finish today, Steve, on this March 1st word that I've been given about call to unity. And I just wanted to touch on this prophetic warning, both for the nation of Israel and the city of Chicago.
Okay.
We historically know that Chicago was a city where God had touched through Alexander Dowie,
Right.
as well as D.L. Moody. But as Dowie moved out of the city of Chicago and moved to and created Zion, Illinois, that's when all of the mob moved in.
Oh,
And I believe
really?
that, yeah, you can look at it historically, that when Dowie moves out and he goes to form Zion, which I don't believe was God's will. I believe that the Lord had put him apostolically in that city and was holding back that the regional demonic power over the city. When he moves out, that's when Al Capone comes in. This is when all of the
Wow.
all
Wow.
of the mob begins to move into the city of Chicago. And I actually believe that God's going to raise up some powerful leaders in the city of Chicago.
Good.
And the Lord is going to cause them to push out the onslaught of demonic activity that's happening in that particular city, because it desperately needs the Lord. And the Lord had shown me that there was a prophetic warning concerning transportation centers in the city of Chicago. And I saw a spiritual realm stirred. My spirit was stirred with a sense of urgency. And I felt like there was a deep concern for safety, and safety actually hung in the balance in that city, that there was an assignment against transportation systems and centers within that city.
So when you,
That we
just for
needed to begin to pray.
clarification, when you say transportation systems and centers, okay, so I don't know what they're called. There could be a Grand Central Station. There's the airport. There's probably one or two. I don't know if there's probably more than, but that's what you're talking about. Airports, bus
Felt to me
stations.
like it felt to me like a terrorist attack.
Okay.
Felt to me like an alert, and we needed to begin to pray.